There are many reasons I love the indie market. For one, because they often innovate and take risks, and also because they tend to experiment with things that will never truly be allowed on consoles, let alone the AAA market. Even the games that could be seen as bad games on a technical level can carry enough charm to look back into becoming good games, thanks to either the cheesiness or the earnestness of trying to do something with the game, but failing in just enough areas that it is still entertaining. Lucius is one of my favorite examples of this. It didn't review too well, the voice acting is beyond cheesy, and on a technical level you can see their humble budget written all over it. And yet, it is one of those games that I played with a big dumb smile all the way. So in order to explain to you why, let's get started with the basics. Lucius tells us the story of our titular character, a little boy living a relatively normal life with his relatively wealthy family. Everything changes when, during his 6th birthday on June 6, dark forces compel him to kill his mate by locking her in the freezer. Turns out the devil himself has visited him and revealed that he is Lucius' real father, and in order to celebrate, Lucius is given a task: to bring as many souls as possible to the devil with his new demonic powers, while also making sure nobody finds out he is the one doing it. Which means the main objective of the game is to little by little kill every single person living in the mansion. And that's about it really. If there is one way I will use to describe this game, is that it is essentially Hitman if Agent 47 was an evil 6-year-old serial killer, except of course this is a more low budget affair, so there is a lot more linearity in how you do your kills. However, that is not to say the game will hover your objective for you or hold your hand. The way the kills work in this game is that first you have to explore the mansion to find your victim. Once you do that, the game will show you what they are doing and will give you hints on what you should do. And from there, it is up to you to figure out what you have to do and how to carry out your kill. Of course, making sure none of the other residents see you doing the deed or using your own powers. This in turn makes the mansion into a small little open sandbox for you to mess around with. Exploring in order to learn the layout, something that you do want to do because this place is both big and a serious labyrinth for first-time players. Figuring out where everyone is and getting to know what life is like. And of course, taking care of the side quest, or should I say, chores. Given that Lucius is still a little kid, he's still supposed to be living his regular life in order to keep his cover. That means his mom can give you things to do to help around. Very small and mundane things really, like tidying your room or brushing your teeth, but as small as those actions look, they do come with a reward. There is a behavior meter in this game. Every time you complete a chore for the first time, it will make it go up. Once you max it out, you get rewarded each time. First, you get a Ouija board, because of course, that will give you hints on what you are supposed to do next. The second time, you get a music box that will tell you where you are supposed to play the key items if you feel lost, but it comes with limited uses. And finally, the last reward is a tricycle that will help you move around the mansion a lot faster and feel like a fancier version of the kid from The Shining. One thing I did like, and I'm not sure how intentional it was, is the fact you can actually do those chores before Lucius' mom even says anything. Only telling you a random thing for you to do and the promise of getting you these presents Lucius was apparently begging for some time. As for the mansion itself, it's not like it's just a big empty labyrinth. From the very early game it is full of life, and you can see the staff and your parents going on about their day, taking care of their own business. There is even some little details like some ongoing side stories happening in the background, and some of the staff members will even ask Lucius for some help. Those of course also counting towards the behavior meter to unlock your tools. So the main thing that made me like this game is that as simple as the killings get, each and every one of them is different. Despite being a creepy silent child, Lucius actually shows a fair bit of personality throughout his journal. He's not just killing for the sake of killing the entire time. Sometimes he's just being a petty little brat, like murdering his father's friend because he's a smoker and the smell of the smoke hurts his head. Or killing other staff members in the house because they are guilty of any of the capital sins, like gluttony. Something I couldn't help but find funny as he tries to make it sound like justice, when in reality, Lucius and the devil are anything but. What I really like about the killings at times is how they can go from creative to legit creepy to downright slapstick. In a few cases, the very setup for the kill actually spans multiple levels, and that's when you get into smaller stealth segments in order to get what you need so you can carry out your objective. It's some nice variety, and again, because the solution is not being fed to you, it did feel like I was using my brain a lot more, and feeling smart when the slow-mo and the ominous music kicked in. But with that being said, and I am sure the gameplay I have shown you so far already made it clear, this game is not what I will call great or even good. So let's get over all the silly junk and tell you why that is both good and bad, with of course some legitimate issues. Remember what I said about the manor having people in it doing activities and walking around? That novelty quickly wears off when you realize they are cycling two activities: working animations and walking around, where of course the occasional conversation between two characters that is bound to end and leave both parties awkwardly standing there until you kill your victim.
Lucius, I'm just having a chat with your mother. It's just a little grown-up talk.
As much as I am easily amused by the chores and unlocking all the rewards for being a good boy, there is really not much else to do in the manor. And I think the devs knew this because you will only have a limited access to some areas in the early game, and the place slowly opens up as you make your way through your victims list. And then there is the killings themselves. Don't get me wrong, I love them, but since every kill has only one solution, there is not much there in terms of replayability. The whole game starts to feel a lot smaller for such a big map. You can tell this was the studio's first major project, because even over a decade later, there is still a lot of jank to it. From characters not knowing what to do if you block their path, to getting you trapped if you don't get off their scripted spots for a bit, to finding yourself stuck in the geometry because Lucius has weird hitboxes. But then, we get to see how silly the killings are, how amateur the voice acting is, how in spite of everything they went through the effort to have the manor change and have a different weather depending on the season, because the story takes place over the course of a year, and the honest and earnest effort ends up looping this game back into being fun. There's just something really amusing about these characters with unchanging expressions, going through the dread and drama of having a sillier killing on the loose, and then having freaking Detective MacGuffin, no seriously that's his name, keep trying to solve this case, only to always end up cold because he's really stupid.
Your mess is making the precinct look like a joke, and my superiors are not going to take it lightly.
It's very fun because it's like a reverse murder mystery where you are the murderer, and the fun and excitement is watching the cops investigate and see if they will ever catch on that the killer is the creepy 6-year-old who stopped talking since his birthday. And then you get gems like this.
Simply,
You're trespassing. I could have you shot.
hey, wait now!
Adding the so-called demonic powers, and things start to get even more unintentionally funny. At the end of every few nights, the devil will show up to talk about your progress and to give you a new power for Lucius to use. It sounds fun on paper, and you will think we will see a bigger sandbox on messing around with the game world using those powers, but sadly they are only situational. Only 2 of the 4 powers can be used outside of scripted events. The game tries to make it look cool and awesome with a leveling system, but it's all just flavor. Quote-unquote leveling only happens after you kill someone, and the ones you can actually use outside of those scripted moments have an actual 5-second limit before you have to wait for the meter to fill up again. But even those allow moments of really fun comedy, from trying and failing to take out the trash, to have a climactic moment towards the end of the game where everyone is patrolling the same hallway I am supposed to sneak by on my way to the next kill. A situation that will be considered super broken because getting caught means I fail and have to try again, but instead I end up spamming mind control to make them forget they spotted me and just waltz past them. It's a bug that really needed to be seen to be believed.
What are you doing now?
No worries.
Back to your bed right now.
I think I saw your mechanic.
And I guess the other thing that keeps this messy game together for me is the story. This is essentially a spiritual adaptation of the horror movie The Omen, right down to Lucius having been born in June 6, 1966. The fun part of this story is watching life in this mansion slowly deteriorate as we kill its residents one by one. In a way, you start to feel bad for some of Lucius' victims because the vast majority of them didn't even deserve it, and many others were actually being nice to him and they seemed to be a happy household. I did start feeling bad for his mom too. She starts as a loving mother, then little by little her sanity begins to decay as the mansion becomes more and more ominous, and she is helpless to figure out what could be possibly causing so much death, even though she kisses it goodnight every night.
Okay, what could you do next? See if there's any dirty laundry around.
Hello,
and-
Lucius.
With all the really fun drama of this poorly acted cast of characters being capped off with the mansion having a satanic ritual chamber casually hidden behind a cloth and a very visible switch to tell you that it's not a coincidence Lucius was chosen to be the son of the devil. But I'm leaving it at that so I don't spoil the fun if anyone desires to play this game. By the end of the day, Lucius is a trashy game, but it is a really fun trashy game at that. I would recommend it since you can buy it for literal pennies anytime there is a Steam sale or a bundle sale, but this is a very roller type of game. While I was easily amused by it, I am sure anyone else playing it is probably not going to have as much fun as I did. That's why the game didn't even review well back then. Regardless, there is enough earnestness in this game that made me enjoy myself. This is a good bad game in my eyes. And those can still be fun, even if they won't ever reach a Game of the Year list or be talked about. That's why I had decided to review it, because more often than not, one man's trash is another man's treasure.